All right, here we go. This is Freedom from Alcohol. It's the podcast with well, the three of us. I don't know. It's been a while since we've done one of these. It's like
Well,
riding a
rusty.
bike. I got to get back
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be
Shake off
honest,
the
we haven't
rust.
recorded one of these in like what, a couple of months. It's been summertime.
Yeah, summertime.
Our family has moved. We're back in Minnesota. We were in South Carolina. Now we're back in our home state of Minnesota. So it's good to be back. But it's just one of those things where our daughter hasn't gone back to school yet. So it's crazy working from home and just, I don't know. So, welcome. It's good to be back as we kind of roll into a new season here. My name is Chris
hmm
Shatek. Got Lauren Howman, Matt Gardiner. How are you guys? How was your summer been so far?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What's been
Lauren?
like the highlight of your guys' summer?
New location for us as well. Darcy and I moved to Vancouver or the Vancouver area. So just soaking that all in has been
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. How about you, Lauren?
Yeah, so my project for this summer was opening up a med spa. So I'm in that location today. And just started on no, it's not October, August 1st, offering services. And like today I'm all shiny because I got a chemical peel done. So my summer was fun. Always something to look forward to. Like, people just say, like, what is life going to look like when I'm done drinking? Whatever you want it to look like. Like,
hmm
but there's just so many fun things that could be going on that you just don't have the bandwidth for because you're stuck at the bottom of a bottle, right? But like last year, I think I was on the Airbnb. I was renovating a house, right? This year it's the med spa, and it's just been a lot of fun. So not recording podcast over the summer has kind of worked for me as well. We've been busy, all three of us. And Matt, you've been camping
hmm
and all those pictures and your
hmm
birthday week.
Yeah.
Lots going
Yeah,
on.
where you live, Matt, looks like not even real sometimes. Those pictures
Yeah.
that you send us, man, it's
Yeah.
glorious.
It's like a
Yeah, it is.
So,
postcard.
It's a good word for it. Yeah,
yeah,
you bet.
I would say the highlight of my summer, because there's been a lot, obviously, we moved back and everything, but on our move back, we went to the Jersey Shore. And
Yes.
I've talked about this before. My wife and I are big Jersey Shore, the TV show fans. Judge all you want. I don't care. It was the most surreal, coolest thing. We got to tour the house that they filmed in. We
No
got
way.
to know like all the behind the secrets and stuff of like where everything was. We spent like $200 on merch. Like I got this coffee mug.
No
Those that are
way.
just listening can't see this, but that's a
Yeah.
Pauly D coffee mug that says, "Oh yeah." So that was so cool to being on the Jersey Shore, and you know that show, by the way, is all about getting drunk, and like I used to watch it when I was drunk, and so to do all these things, and I got to meet Danny, the guy who owns the shore store, like it was really cool. But to do all these things, not even think about drinking, like it's just such a surreal moment. That yeah, you can do summer activities, you can go to a beach, you can go to the Jersey Shore, you can go on vacation,
Yeah.
and actually remember it, actually enjoy yourself without just thinking about, oh, I get to get drunk and then I get to feel like crap the next day and
hmm
all that kind of stuff. So it's possible, right? So
hmm
if you are in that place where, because this is the time of year that it is like a new season, right? We've gone through the summer because it does
Yeah.
get chaotic in the summer, and honestly, there's not a lot of people that are looking to maybe make the decision to quit in the summer. Although I think all three of us quit in the summer? I did. I quit in the
We
middle
did.
of the summer.
That was
You did,
April.
Lauren. April. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that it can't be done, but just honestly, we see a lot fewer people in the summer going, I want to make these changes. But now that we're rolling into September, kids are back into school. It's kind of that new like season of change. I'm ready for it. So
hmm
we're going to see a lot of people hopefully making the decision to go, I'm either going to walk away completely from alcohol or I want to take a break from it. And
hmm
so one of the things that I think is important that I want to talk about on today's episode is the things to look out for if you are attempting to break free from alcohol, the things that might trip you up, the things that we've seen in our own experiences with the clients that we've worked with, like just things to be prepared for, right? Because we see it over and over again. And I think I got to say the biggest one to watch out for is literally the voice in your head. That is by far the number one thing that will trip you up because you will you'll play this game with yourself where if you don't go in with the mentality of that's it, I'm done, I'm not a drinker anymore, you'll play the game of okay, let me just see, I'm going to get to this point and then we'll be a normal drinker. Then we'll try to have it here or there. You'll play this game with yourself. Or you'll decide I'm going to take a 30-day break or whatever the case may be, and you'll get to a point where your brain and that voice in your head will start saying, "Hey, you've done really well. Like I think we've got this thing figured out. You could probably let's just go out for the weekend. We'll have a drink or two." And what happens is we'll listen to that voice, and then we may have just a drink or two, but it resets the cycle back again. And then more times than not, we get right back to where we were before because our brain doesn't know that we've taken a break. It thinks, oh, here's the dopamine rush again. I love it. Let's get back into the comfort zone. So I think that'll be the number one thing that'll trip you up. You know, Craig Beck calls that voice the evil clown. If you haven't read the book, Alcohol Lied to Me, it's a wonderful book. We recommend it to all of our clients. I call it the dark passenger, which if anybody ever watched Dexter, that's where I got that from. It's the inner dialogue voice that's always going on in his head. But we always encourage people, our clients, to give that voice their own name. So you can recognize when it is talking and what it's saying. And so that's one of the things. What are some other things that have tripped up either you guys or that you've noticed with clients that they may be alcohol free for a while and then they come back to it? Matt, what have you noticed?
Yeah, from my experience personally, it was what we've talked about with the pink cloud, right? Like after the honeymoon lifts from this, like everything's new. I'm like, oh man, I'm doing so well with this. And it would usually be it's like clockwork, easy for me to say. It would be around day 18 or day 21, somewhere in there. And I would actually have a bit of a dip. Like it wouldn't do just a plateau. I would start to dip. And then I would say to myself, well, I'm eating well, I'm going to the gym. And like I still feel like crap. Like just for whatever reason, whatever happened in my body, and I started getting kind of headachy, and it was enough for me to just go, well, if I'm gonna feel like crap, like what's the point? You know what I mean? So instead of
Yep.
just pushing through that next couple days, because that's literally all it ends up being, is like get to day 22. All I needed to go was like literally probably a matter of hours, another 72 hours or less. Who knows, right? Who knows how close I was? And yet I did that like repeatedly, more times than I could probably count. I would get to that stage. And just as soon as I'd get the little bit of a dip, get out of the pink cloud and be like, this is gonna be the rest of my life now. Well, this doesn't feel that great actually, so I'm just gonna go back to drinking. But it's gonna be different this time, right? There'd always be that little caveat I'd throw on it, and it was just insanity. So definitely that aspect of it. So that is part of what we brought up numerous times on our group calls and just on one-on-ones with the clients, is just be prepared for that, right? It might not happen to you, or it might be like less than it's than what I experienced or whatever, or it might be more, who knows? But just know that it is coming at some point. You're going to feel a bit of a plateau or even a bit of a dip, and that's totally normal. And like we'll plan for it together, we'll plan for it, and we'll work through those steps and different things that you can do. So for me, it's like there's no real like shortcut for it, right? Honestly, it reflects how life is. Like I have those dips now, I just didn't recognize it back then. So that would be my advice coming out of what I'm saying here, is realize that's how life is, right? You don't always have to look at changing your state. You can have off days. That's fine. In fact, it's very human of you to be able to do that and just get through it and know that it's temporary. So just knowing that's part of life. It doesn't have to be this artificially inflated dopamine, changing your state with caffeine and booze and drugs. There is another way, and just let it happen. That's just part of living, and that's just part of being human.
Yeah, I think that's very true. The pushing through part, because I did that so many times where it got to the point where it's like, oh man, I still feel like crap. What's the point here? I might as well give myself a little bit of booze if I'm going to feel like crap anyway. And I didn't realize it takes time for our bodies to heal. It takes time for this whole process to really feel the effects. And it was just this. I'm gonna keep getting back on the hamster wheel. And so, yeah, if you're on that place where you feel like the pink cloud is faded, keep pushing through. Please keep pushing through, because it will get better. It's not always going to be great. Like Matt was just saying, there's still going to be bad days, and that's okay. But yeah, that's definitely a key thing there. How about for you, Lauren, as far as like things that have tripped you up or things that you've noticed?
I mean, I think it's just kind of the phrase life is gonna life. And so like when you're trying to do
Yeah.
something really hard, like change your whole life and not drink anymore, it's like all of the roadblocks are gonna come all at one time. And you're already gonna be in a space where you're a little bit overwhelmed and you're like not in a bandwidth to deal with a bunch of stuff or have the coping skills for it, because the one thing you did to cope was drink. And now you essentially have no coping mechanisms. So life is gonna life. And I was telling you guys about this on a meeting recently, just about the chocolate milk that spilled that one day, right? Like I had a day. Hadn't sat down all day. It was the first week of my kids being back to school. I had to go pick up groceries that I thought were being delivered, and then I found out I did it wrong and it was too late to change it over. And we actually needed some of those items like pretty desperately in my house. So I needed to go pick them up instead of have them delivered. But I was also trying to be on our community call and I wanted to participate. So I was rushing to get all the cold stuff put away so I could like go sit down at my desk and be fully present for the rest of the call. And I drop a milk. And that milk just like went everywhere, like everywhere. We had to pull up a baseboard because it was soaking into that
Oh,
baseboard. I
damn.
could see it. It was the whole freaking gallon, like all
I
the
didn't
like
realize it was that dramatic. My
it was
goodness.
so dramatic. But like the whole day had been just like nothing had gone wrong, but it was just one of those days where like I was sweaty and gross because we were having like this like our last Indian summer where like it gets a little chilly in Ohio and then it like bam 800 degrees for like a week. And then we'll go into kind of like the fall weather, which is really nice. But I was like hot, sweaty. I had to go do all this that I wasn't planning to do. So like sweat's dripping. I had another call that I had to do later in the night. I had other stuff going on. Just the whole day was kind of trippy. And that's the kind of day I would drink on, right? So if you're having that kind of day and you're on day 2 of like your new lifestyle, like that's where we talk about that fuck it button. So life is gonna life. And we have to just sit through the discomfort of like, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm supposed to be on this meeting, I smell like chocolate milk, and I'm still not gonna drink.
Yeah.
But one of our clients was saying to me recently, and she's been alcohol free for about 6 months, and she was saying day 1, day 2, and day 3 were the hardest. And not even really just because of the kick of like the drug, really, you're withdrawing from it, and you're like really being pulled because of that 24-hour loop and the habit of drinking every 24 hours as well, but more because of that F it button. Because let's say you're on a diet and you're on day 1, but somebody presents you a chocolate cake, you're like, F it, I'll just start tomorrow, right? And that's what happens with alcohol so many times. And if we just raise our hand and say, I've probably took me 3 extra years to quit because I kept hitting that little button of I'll just start tomorrow, right? But so that trippy little area of like day 1 through like 6 or 7 where you don't have enough longevity behind you, where you're like, oh, am I going to screw it up, or should I just like hold off and I'll feel better and then I'll be on day 8, right? Or you're on day 2 and you're like, you know what, screw it, I've had a bad day, the milk is spilled, I had to pull the baseboard off, blah blah blah, I'll just start over tomorrow. So I feel like that's that trippy area, where your brain's going to really trick you into like, F it, you can just start tomorrow because today was shit. Like just
The I deserve it mentality, right? That's what
that's
I would always
right.
have. Yes.
I think those
Yeah.
words weren't coming, but that's what it is. Those
Yep.
words weren't mine, but like it's that like this has been such a shitty day. This is the only thing that'll make it better. And we also have been conditioned to treat it as a treat and as an I deserve. And like it's this like whole like I get to have it because I parented today, and that also makes
Mm.
up into culture. Like the mommy wine culture is all about I'm
Mhm.
raising kids, so I deserve this wine. So we're
Yeah.
very entitled to it. So those first days I feel are super easy to trip up because of that. Like I can just do it tomorrow. But that tomorrow becomes 6 months down the road because we end up in like this binge cycle and then the shame and guilt repeats. So like to not trip right there, we just have to know that those first couple days are going to suck. And it's not even because you are like so addicted and that you're going to have these DTs and blah, blah, blah. It's not any of that because that's like super not what's going to be happening to the regular person. No medical advice being given here, right? But it's that condition of fuck it, it doesn't matter because I'm only 5 minutes sober and I'm still
Yep.
freaking hungover. So why not? Right.
Right.
Yep.
And then I
Yep.
also wanted to hit on that whole like evil passenger because y'all got me kind of busted on this recently when I was talking about just a private conversation between the 3 of us. And I was talking about how like I almost want to have a science experiment when I'm 80 and just test it. Like, there's no way I'll still be broken when I'm 80. I can have a sip of alcohol and watch. I won't be addicted anymore. And it won't lead me down that slippery slope. And
Yeah.
I super sciencey geek. So like that's a really cool science experiment, but it's also 8,000% probable, but that's some kind of BS evil clown in my head, just trying to play this out to see how far
Playing the
my
long game.
take it.
Yeah.
To see, like how willing, because like when you say you're not going to drink that morning because you're hungover, and by 1 o'clock you're like, I might have one.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
all right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
My brain's doing the long game to like 80, and y'all were able to call me out on my bullshit. So that's also something to prepare for. Like I'm 4+ years into this game, right? And
Mhm.
still my brain plays these tricks on me where it's like, oh, it's because you're sciencey and you want to do a little hypothesis, is that true? I don't know. But also could it just be that BS? Like if I've gone 80 years without it now, maybe I've gone 40 years without it, now I'm 80. Of course I'm not addicted. You could have that drink, girl. You've done long enough. But
Mhm.
conversely, that also comes like when Chris, like the 3-week point when you're like, oh my God, it's been 3 weeks. I don't even have a problem. I can go ahead and drink. So to wrap it up, those are all like my triggery points where it could be really easy, where that little, like, I think of it as like the devil and the angel sitting on your
Yeah.
shoulder. And one's like
Yeah.
got the little halo and she's like, don't do it. You're being such a good girl. This is great. The other one's like, girl, you haven't had a drink in 3 weeks. This would be amazing. You can do this. You're not a problem anymore. So those are kind of the areas that I feel like are the most trippy.
Yeah, no doubt. And we all as humans have that devil and angel constantly talking. going on in our head, right? And we have to kind of like, okay, which side are we picking here? But the more discipline we get, the more we look into ourselves, the more growth that we put into ourselves, the more we shine a lens on who we want to be, instead of just hitting the fuck it button, instead of just doing the same old shit. The more we start changing to that, it becomes easier to listen to that voice that serves you. Now, that the devil voice is always still going to be there. It is always, you can't make that voice ever fully go away. That's the thing that sucks, right? But what I always like to say is we help take that voice, that dark passenger voice, the evil clown, whatever you want to call it, and take it from a loud voice with a microphone yelling at you, you need to drink, to a little pipsqueak, tiny little voice tucked way in the back that will pipe up every once in a while. But once you know that it's speaking, you can go, okay, just quiet down there. You know what I mean? It's not the same. So that's what we can do, but we can't make it go away all the way. Some of the other things I just want to make sure we touch on, as far as that might trip you up, because we've seen this quite a bit, and I've fallen for it too in past attempts at quitting, is going to a social event too soon or without any sort of plan.
Yeah.
If you're really new into quitting drinking and you had this big drinking trip planned with your buds, like it's a weekend away and all you guys are going to do is go and drink, you might have to say no to that. You might have to go, I don't think I'm ready for this. And that's totally okay, because you have to come to the conclusion that shit's going to change. When you make a life change, like getting alcohol out of your life is going to look different. It's going to be changed, and you're going to have to be okay with that. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be changed forever and that you can't go back and do some of the things you used to do, but you might have to press pause on a couple of things. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And everybody's a little bit different. So some people might be fine with going to a bar a week into sobriety. Other people might go, nope, I'm not even going to play with that. I'm not going to play with snakes. You have to know how to navigate that. And that's why one of the things we always have our clients do after we meet with them for the first time is come up with a plan, right? Because if you're going to be in a situation like that where you might be triggered, you have to know what you're going to do. So what if somebody does put a drink in your hand? What are you going to do? What if somebody asks you why you're not drinking? What's your response going to be? What if it gets too uncomfortable? What's your exit strategy? What are you going to drink while you're there? Do they have non-alcoholic beverages? If not, can you bring your own? All of these things are going to play into your success at being alcohol free for the long term, because what happens more times than not is people get caught off guard. You go into these situations and that voice will speak to you, or you'll feel like under pressure. I don't know what to say. Somebody put a drink in my hand. I don't want to explain the whole thing. Okay, fuck it. I'll just drink and then I'll worry about this tomorrow. And then you have to reset the whole thing. So please, please, please have a plan if you're gonna do something like that. That goes the same with like vacations. That's one of the biggest areas where people drink. They let loose, let their hair down. What are you going to do if you have a vacation plan? What does that look like? Figure that out. The holidays are another big one, right? It's the holidays. I'm so used to drinking. Like, you got to figure out what that's going to look like. And then, as we were talking about earlier, the universe tests you when you make a big decision like this. We've seen it over and over again. You're going to get tests thrown at you. Bad news. We've had clients that have people close to them have died, and they didn't even think twice about going to alcohol because their mindset was in a completely different place. Like, that wasn't a solution for them anymore, which is incredible. We've had people go through divorces early on after quitting drinking, and they didn't go back to the bottle. I mean, how awesome is that? If you can get through those things and not really even think about drinking, that's how you know something has changed there. But you got to be prepared, I really believe, for these things, because as Lauren mentioned earlier, life is going to life. Just because we stop drinking doesn't mean that bad shit stops happening. It's just that our eyes are opened to it more, right? We're not drowning our problems and shit away. We're not like escaping from it. We have to deal with it. And just being prepared that shit will happen. You will want to hit the fuck it button. Believe me, we all do at some point. You'll want to escape. You'll want to numb out. But understanding from the get-go that alcohol is no longer your solution. It's off the table. As we always talk about with our clients from day one, you got to close the door all the way. We're not leaving it open to crack. That's the mentality, right? Shifting your identity to that of a non-drinker. All of these things are going to play into when those inevitable things happen to trip you up. You've got that solid foundation to bring you back to why you're doing this. So I know we got to wrap up here. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we close out?
I like having the final boss type scenario with all the clients, right? Oftentimes when we have somebody sign up, they're like, well, 3 months from now, I have this trip to Hawaii. I'm like, perfect. So then we have something to work up to. And it's very much like the final boss kind of, that's your final boss, right? So
Yeah.
be building up to that. Also wanted to say that we have a YouTube channel at Coach by Chris, where we just had a soft launch of it. So I just wanted to promote it, Chris, if we could.
Hell yeah, that's right, man. We're on YouTube now. We're
Oh.
on all the things. So TikTok, Instagram, the YouTubes, as the kids would say.
Yes.
We got the Facebook group. So yeah, check us out. It's at Coach by Chris on all of the channels. You can follow me and the YouTube channel. Freedom from Alcohol, same name as the podcast. That's the name of our Facebook group. It's also the name of our coaching mastermind that we help people quit drinking for, and we've got a 96% success rate. So we work with high functioning, successful drinkers that are ready to be done with alcohol, ready to change your relationship with it, ready to lose the desire for it, and just move away from it and go have the life that you can have. And it doesn't have to be this lifelong struggle. It doesn't have to suck. We help you with all of that. And so if you're interested in working with us, go to getoverdrinking.com or coachbychris.com. Both will take you to the same place, and set up a call with me, and we'll see if we're a good fit for you and all that stuff. And by the way, if you find value in this podcast, please like it, please share it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment. That helps push it out to more people. So we will wrap it up there. Good to see you guys again. Good recording. Another podcast. We're going to be back at it here weekly. Every Tuesday, we drop a new episode. And by the way, if you have something, a topic you want us to discuss, hit us up in the Facebook group. You can message us or send me an email. You can find all our contact information on our website and all that kind of stuff. Because we're always looking for, well, what do you guys want to hear? What do you want us to talk about? Right. So we got to give the people what they want, baby. That's what we're
Give them what they want.
That's what it's all about.
All right. We will check in with you guys next week. Thanks for listening. This is Freedom from Alcohol.
Goodbye.
Bye.